welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Every week, we talk to entrepreneurs from different industries at different company stages of all shapes and sizes. We hear those real, raw, and unbiased founder stories. We talk about the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly parts of being a founder. And it's why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. We drop new episodes every Sunday so founders can listen to us on a Sunday afternoon to get ready for the week ahead. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That's Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company that's dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyperlocal media platforms that are designed to inform, inspire, and create connections to help founders succeed. Orange Whip is an all-in-one content hub for founders with fresh and engaging stories, curated calendars, local dynamic roadmaps to help founders navigate the local entrepreneurial ecosystems. We've done all the hard work for founders, so they only need to go to one trusted place to find the local information they need. So every market needs an Orange Whip. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ, and I'm the founder of Orange Whip and will be your host today. And today we have Nichelle Harrison. She's the founder of MAP Agency, and she's also the director of membership and belonging of the Center for Courage and Renewal. Welcome, Nichelle. Welcome to Hello Chaos.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me here at Hello Chaos today.
You are welcome. We're excited you're joining us. So just start us out and tell us about your journey. You've had a couple transitions of how did you come to start the MAP Agency, and what is the MAP Agency?
Yep. So the MAP Agency is a labor of love for me. So the MAP Agency started as something that I needed. So I was a stay-at-home mom for probably about 12 years, stepped away from the professional world. And I thought after those 12 years, I could just walk back into the corporate world. Like, hey, they're waiting on me. I've got some good skills. Let me go out here and keep doing what I was doing. But that was not the case. It was really hard to walk back in the corporate world. Things had changed. People look at you differently.
Yeah.
When you take a professional gap like that. And it hit me hard. I'm like, I just can't walk into, a corporation and think that I can go back to what I was doing. And I thought it was me, and I felt very alone because I thought there was really like something wrong with me. My skills were lacking. My self-confidence was down. But I started to talk to other women, other moms that I was in these like stay-at-home circles with. And I found out we all had those same kind of fears. We were all experiencing that self-esteem kind of drop. We were all wanting to go back into the corporate world. Some of us had tried.
But couldn't find a place.
Right.
Yeah.
Could not find a place. So I'm like, aha. It's not me. It's not something wrong with me. There's something wrong with the world.
Right.
These women are looked at this way. So I set out to kind of change that. So it was something that I needed, and I found that other people needed as well. So that's how the MAP Agency started.
And what does MAP Agency do for these women?
Yep. We work with women in transition, literally career transitions, life transitions. In the beginning, it started off, I worked a lot with corporations. I would help the women get ready to go back to work, which means getting their resume ready, interview skills ready.
Right.
And I would also work with the corporations. Like, this is to introduce them to those women as
right. Well, and also to and educate them, right? Hey, I don't know if you guys need to know this in your HR, but you're missing a key segment that you guys could be tapping into.
Exactly. And they didn't know it. Like a lot of the corporations that I was with, they were like, oh, we never would have considered this. I'm like, look, this woman was a engineer, for 20 years. She's been out for 10, but she still knows her stuff.
Right.
Put her in a 6-week program, something like an internship program, get her up to speed. Hey, you've got a great employee. So that's how it started off, working with both the corporation and the women. So over the last year or two, I've scaled it back to just working with the women. And that's because my schedule right now, with other things that I'm doing. And I'm finding a lot of still inspiration in that, just working solo, kind of with a smaller group of women, and not working so much with the corporations. And that's because my life has changed. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
So talk about that. So this is where you've kind of transition of you're still kind of holding the map agency as something that is passionate, more of gone from like more of a company to now maybe more of a passion hobby, I guess. Is
Exactly.
and now you've working with the Center for Courage and Renewal. Talk about that. What is that center? Is it a center? And what does it mean to be the director of belonging?
Yep, the Center for Courage and Renewal is a global nonprofit. We are actually not a center at all. We're really more like, I would call it a ways of being, right?
Okay.
We work with a lot of folks in healthcare. We work with a lot of clergy. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Mm.
We work with a lot of educators. And those are fields where people get burned out, I would say,
Yeah.
a lot faster because you're giving so much of yourself. So we work with folks around a set of principles and practices around showing up more whole, more authentic, being what we call alone together, which is going inward, but also doing it in community. So we
Okay.
are a community. We are a global community of folks.
Okay. And we hear that a lot, especially from entrepreneurs and founders of, the mental health issues and the rise of mental health and suicide crisis
That's right.
among founders. And a lot of it is because they have lost their sense of belonging.
That's
Um, we've heard that from
mhm.
the people we've interviewed. And I know bigger studies have gone on between like Forbes and Inc. and Entrepreneur, magazine have done bigger studies to show these, and Founder Institute, I think, has done some bigger studies on that whole concept of the isolation. You don't feel like you have a connected community, and that becomes a I mean, I know you and I have talked about that in our, why we joined kind of a minority business accelerator was the we were thirsty for a connection.
Right.
Uh,
We are not meant to be alone. Like,
right.
period. Like, community is really our birthright. If we go back just to do a quick little, um, just to touch on the Bible really quick, everything what God was making, he was like, it is good, it is good, it is good. The first thing he said was not good was being alone. So
Yeah.
we're not supposed to be alone. So
Yeah.
we're made for community. And as entrepreneurs, we think that we're supposed to do everything alone. And the most part, we are doing it, but it's so important to form a community. And it's so important to feel like you belong, not just to be in a community, but belonging in a
Right. Well,
community.
so how does one make that shift, or is that, I know the Center for Courage and Renewal, and also I would ask you, like, when they talk about, I get the renewal part and the
Mhm.
belonging. What's the courage part? Is it just to have courage to feel like you need to enter this space?
Exactly, because
Okay.
it's scary. Look, and who doesn't need courage and renewal, right? Every day it takes courage to get up every day. It takes courage to go out in the world and to put on your real self, to go out as your real self, to show up authentically and honestly. All of that takes courage. It takes courage to be who you really are.
Yeah.
To go, and it takes courage to be vulnerable in a community.
Yeah.
We use courage every day. Just getting up and being who we are just takes courage. It's easier to be somebody else. You need courage to really be yourself and to go out in this world and to do the things that you want to really do and show up as you really are. All that takes courage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what's been the most rewarding aspect of your journey over the last, decade or so, and coming out of from the transition of coming from taking a break to raise a family, trying to enter the workforce, starting a company, and then also transitioning into, okay, I'm doing, I've kind of changed the company I founded, and because you found this other position.
Mhm. You know what? The most encouraging thing that I would have to say has been the community that I formed at different times, like the way that you and I met,
Yeah.
the Minority Business Accelerator. That community You know,
Oh,
yep,
it's a
coming
lifesaver for me.
exactly. So coming from my when I was a stay-at-home mom, I had that community. Then I went to the entrepreneur community,
Mm,
and now I'm in this courage community. So forming communities along the way that supported me to get to my next step and feeling like I belonged in each one of those spaces.
hmm.
That has been the best thing for me.
And then what do you think is the biggest, like, misconception people have about being a founder of something, and how would you debunk it?
Ooh, misconception that you can't do it alone. Like, I can do this alone, that I can build this alone. That's a misconception. And that you're always going to get it right. You are not always going to get it right. And you cannot do it alone.
Yeah,
And you're supposed to get it wrong sometimes. You're supposed to
that's
go through
right.
that cycle of sometimes getting it wrong, correcting it. You go down that curve, it's going to come back up, you know. So yeah, that you're not going to get it right the whole time. And it's okay. And that's how you're going to learn stuff.
Right.
That's the only way we learn.
Well, tell us about the biggest, like, you've had your aha moment of, like, through your journey. What was your biggest oh shit moment?
Oh shit. I started a company. Like I thought like I'm just gonna go like I need this. And it just started off as these like talks with people and like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, but I'm just like, oh shit, this is like a real
Yeah.
thing.
People need this.
Yes,
I'm
people need
I'm
it.
solving a problem.
And oh shit, I'm helping people while I'm doing it. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, to see someone go from I don't think I can do this anymore. I feel bad about myself to like, oh my gosh, I aced that interview. I got that job. Or even if I didn't get that job, I felt good trying to go get that job.
Right.
When I saw what I was doing was changing somebody's life and the way they felt about themselves, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you had to hit rewind on anything, would you do anything differently?
I would probably do a lot of things differently.
Like what?
Oh, see, we won't go there, but, let's see if I could hit rewind. Well, you know what? I think I wanna say I wouldn't do anything differently. I'm gonna change that because
Okay.
whatever the things that I've done have got me right here, and this is where I'm supposed to be.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say, "Nope, don't change anything, even the things that were crazy, chaotic, messy, like, don't even change it because it got me to where I am right now."
Right.
Mhm,
So, where do you see yourself, with this? I mean, you're the director of belonging.
mhm.
So, with this organization, so how, you know, how are you fulfilling your daily sense of accomplishment? Like, how are you working? How are you doing? You said this is a place you want to be or need to be.
Yep.
Um, what does that look like?
Every day I get to work personally with folks in different stages of their life.
Hmm.
Um, and it's something that I want to continue to do because it not only is it professionally rewarding, it's personally rewarding because I'm learning from I get to sit in meetings or just discussions with folks all over the world.
Hmm.
Yesterday I was in a meeting, there were folks from Australia, there was someone from Africa, like just all at the same time, kind of everybody at different places of their life. So that is so enriching to me. But at the end of the day, no matter if there's someone on that call that's a physician, someone maybe be an administrator at a school, we all find a common place to connect.
Hmm.
And I think that that's what it's really all about. And I love being able to do that every day.
And is the common thread of people are thirsting for a community, or is there some other underlying, common thread of the reach out?
That's it. People are thirsty for community. People want to be heard.
Mm,
They want to be listened to. Like even in moments of weakness, like people just want to, they don't want to get a lot of advice sometimes. They don't want to be fixed. They don't want to be saved. I want to be listened to.
yeah,
Sometimes we should just be there to be a witness to other people's journey. Some people just need a witness to their journey.
yeah. It was interesting. I was talking to another, female founder, and she said that she had to. re like reassess the way that she was responding to people, like as part of these communities. And it was, and I never thought about this before, but you just triggered this. But she said, if people come to her and sometimes they're venting or, and she's like, well, hold on. Are you looking for a solution or are
Mhm.
you just looking for an ear?
Mhm.
Um,
That's a
be-
great question.
because that, like, how do I need to be here for you?
That's that question. A lot of us don't ask people
I
that question. We
I had never heard that, like, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was like a huge aha." I had to write it in my little journal to go,
yes,
I need to remember that because I just had never thought of doing that. Because you're right, so our natural ability is like, "Okay, I'm listening. Do you want, like, okay, I'm gonna help you solve the problem."
right. Here's a book. Here's how I did
I
it.
do, or like you said, like some people just want to be heard. And I need to remember that of,
Mhm.
like, when I go to people to
Yep.
go, I need to start the conversation out to go, look, I just need an ear or I need advice on what to do.
And
So,
Jen, when you start talking through it for yourself and listening to it for yourself, the solution comes because you really know once you start to work through it and talk it out and get it out, you're like,
yeah,
oh,
well, I don't know about that.
it will. The solution will come. Trust me. Once you start,
For most things. Yeah.
most things,
Uh,
once you start to talk it out, hear yourself talk it out, maybe get somebody to reflect to you what they heard, and you're like,
yeah.
no, I said that. Did I say that?
Did I say that?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But that was a big, wow. And that's, I think, what you're saying. Like some people aren't looking for advice or solutions. They just need to know they're being heard.
Yep.
Or like you said, someone to like reflect back and then they can go, did I did I really say that
You
way?
will be
Or
amazed.
is that how you think I'm communicating that?
Yep. You
Because then it can come back and go, whoa, now I see maybe I'm saying this and I'm not meaning that.
right.
Yeah,
And maybe you say something and your eyes light up. That person can say, well, when you said this, your eyes lit up. Or when you
right,
said that, you look down. You're like, did I? And pay attention to your body language. What's
right.
your body language saying? So you have another person to reflect those kind of things back to you.
Ugh, so powerful. Uh, so what advice would you give to people that are, you know, seeking to build meaningful connections or if they're seeking a community? What advice do you have for people?
Um, definitely you want it to be a community of like-minded folks, right?
Mhm.
So you want that to be the first place you start. Where can I find folks who are thinking like me or the way that I see myself later?
Hmm,
Where can I find this community of people? How do I want to live into this world, live in the world? Look for those types of communities
right.
in places where you're going to be uplifted,
Mm,
definitely.
yeah,
Make you, positive, have a positive impact on your life.
not
Those are
make
the
you.
types of communities you wanna be a part of.
And with the Center for Courage and Renewal, what are there like, you guys have this bigger community. Is it classes? Like what
Not so much classes.
classes?
We prepare facilitators all over the world to
Okay.
yeah, to facilitate retreats, and these could be online retreats, these could be, in-person retreats that are a weekend long, months long, where you go in different sessions,
Okay.
and there are a variety of retreats.
Okay.
Folks
So
do
it's more of designed of like, how do we help facilitate like these groups of people or the corporate leadership here, we
right,
come in and like help make a better culture,
that's it.
better community. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we work a lot, like I said, with in schools, in universities, in healthcare settings, with
Mhm.
clergy, entrepreneurs, all those areas where folks are just pushing it hard, running it hard,
Mm.
maybe forgetting about themselves and
Yeah.
running on empty. And
Yeah.
I can't give anymore. If I'm on empty and I don't have anything inside of here, I'm really not giving anything.
Yeah.
Just going through some motions.
How do you stay? motivated? Do you have like routines and disciplines that you've learned over your journey that have worked for you?
So I am working since I've come to the Center for Courage and Renewal. Those are things that I work on now.
Mm,
Um, so we have this thing that we call alone together. So
okay.
and that's when we're in community. Although we're in a community together, we're also alone with ourselves. Like we may take time to like, all right, what
Self-reflection.
exactly self reflection. So that has been big for me now. I think that's something that I did not allow myself to do before, to reflect on, all right, how did that go? What's coming up for me when this happens? Or why am I feeling that way? Self reflection has been huge for me.
Really? And is it because you've learned more about yourself, or is it like, oh, when I self-reflected, I can't do those actions anymore. Like I need to change my behavior.
All of that,
All
because
of
I
it.
am learning more about myself. Yep. And I'm learning more of how to react. Yeah. How do I change? But how do I be with the world in a different way?
Mm.
I'm going into the world a different way.
Like
Now,
how, like can you give an example of like something you've tangibly like, hey, I used to do this, but you know what? I've changed my mindset.
let's think. I used to maybe right off think folks were coming into a situation with negative intent.
Mm,
But now I maybe step back and say, I wonder why this person feels that way.
huh,
If we have maybe a disagreement or they say something I don't like, so we call it turning to wonder. So I'm
ah,
like, I wonder why they said that or why they feel like that. Instead of going, you feel like that
how
because
dare you? Yeah,
right, you know, just wondering why. Why?
walking in their shoes.
Right. Just take
Right.
a moment to step back and like, I wonder why they reacted like that.
It's almost like radical empathy.
Yes, that's
Okay.
what it is. And it allows you to see a person differently.
Yeah. Well, and it
Honest,
might not just see differently, but you might ask different questions.
you ask different questions.
Yeah. Okay. So you're approaching people differently. Well, what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Ooh, excitement about the life that I'm building.
Ah.
Like, okay, yesterday wasn't so good, but I got another day. I can try again. That's what I'm trying to look at now. Like,
Ah.
okay, all right. I woke up. I'm all here. All this is working. All right. Let me try it again
That's
today.
right. Here's my path forward. How
Yeah,
do I keep moving towards that path?
yeah.
Down that, yeah.
And I may not really even see the path, but I know if I keep walking
You
that,
get there.
uh-huh.
Ah. What keeps you up at night? Like what are your stressors?
Mm.
If you have any.
Oh, I do have stressors. Definitely. You know what? Am I gonna be able to do it? I think a part of me still there's some self-doubt all the time that creeps up.
Yeah.
Be able to do that. How's this gonna work out? That keeps me up and I have to constantly go, I
You
may
you can do it. You got the courage.
right. I have the courage. Right. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but
Yeah.
we gotta go ahead and try it.
Don't stop yourself. Don't let those I call them the like the little shadows,
Mhm.
or the ghosts. Um,
Oh, yeah.
those invisible like mean ghosts that like creep into self-doubt, like ignore
Right.
the ghosts. Ignore them.
Yes, ignore them. And another thing that like wanting to make a difference is really, really important to me. And I think
Yeah.
all entrepreneurs should have some part of that where you really want to make a difference.
Yeah, whether it's in your company or you want the freedom of financials to be able to make an impact somewhere else.
Right. That
Yeah,
has to be part of it. I
yeah,
honestly think that has to be part of it.
yeah, and we hear that from a lot of founders and entrepreneurs as that's one of the biggest motivators
Mhm.
of starting a company. It's like what yours came out of a gap that you saw because it was
Mhm.
very personal, but then you saw, "Whoa, I'm making an impact." And I
Yes.
think a lot of entrepreneurs jump into the space to start a company and grow a company because of there's some underlying um, impact that they want to make, or
Mhm,
that they are seeing they're making a difference in somebody else's life or in an industry, or, maybe it's some global like sustainability green,
mhm,
impact. But I think that's, as we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and founders, I think that is an underlying theme that I hear and we hear more than anything is I started this because
mhm.
um, I saw this could help people.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. I really just think that has to be part of it to continue to get the enjoyment out of it,
Yeah.
to continue to feel fulfilled in it.
Right. Right.
Mhm,
I know you started Map Agency out of like the gap and the need, and I started Orange Whip because something very similar of I saw a gap of the lack of connectivity within these local markets once you get a taste of a small community, well, how do you make that community bigger and
mhm,
more connected?
and more
Um,
right.
and yeah, and that's there you go. That's how Orange Whip was born. It came out of the of that gap.
And that's how it will continue to grow.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Um, well, okay. So if what would our listeners be surprised to learn about you? Is
Mm.
there some like hidden talent or, something that happened in your life that you're like, ooh, people would be really surprised to learn about Nichelle?
Dang, Jen, that's a hard one. Um, I don't know what would be surprising to know about
Well, I
me.
know that you've got a wonderful voice.
Do I really?
Yes, you do.
What? Oh, so how about okay, that made me think. I used to be on the radio,
See, I didn't even know that.
like, way, way back,
Oh,
and that's something I would want to do again at some part of whenever it comes up and it's the right time. That is something that I would like to return
were
to.
you like a DJ
I
on
was
a radio station?
yes, a DJ, yeah, back in the day when they called him a DJ.
DJ.
Or listen to AM, FM. I love that job.
Yeah. Well, one of my first jobs in college, I worked for a radio station,
Really?
but
I didn't know that.
but yeah, I don't think you knew that about me.
No.
It was, and so you were on the mic. I was behind the scenes. I was the one that was working with the team to produce the ad spots.
I
But
can totally
you remember the old days? So my job was I was the splicer. Do you
yes,
remember how they had to, with the reels, and then you had to literally take
that's
a
right.
razor blade and the block
Slice
and
it
cut
together.
out and tape it into the segment?
That's right. The olden days of
The
radio.
olden days, I was doing an interview on I was on somebody else's podcast, like, a business podcast or something, and that was one of the questions was like, "What was the oldest tech you've worked on?" And I was
Man,
like, "I was a splicer with a piece of board and a razor blade.
I
That
bet
was
you
the
won
oldest
that
tech."
one.
And he was like, and he was about my age, but he was like, "I haven't even heard of that." Like,
That was a thing. That was a way to do it, and it's a long reel. That's
the
right. You
long reel.
go in here and splice it together.
With that, the old like, yeah, to think back of that
Mhm.
of now it's all digitized and everything, but yeah,
Much
it
easier.
was much easier,
But I
but
can totally
that
see
was my job. I worked like 20 hours a week splicing radio, like ad spots.
but wasn't it fun?
Oh, yeah, and then
Yeah.
I would do any kid voices because of my voice, I could because it was
Oh.
so my voice was so soft,
Uh-huh.
and actually it's come down about 10 octaves since then, but,
Mhm.
I had a very not just soft, but a very high pitched voice.
So you were all in production. You
And I
produced.
was all in the production. Yep. Behind the scenes.
So even with me doing the radio, and it was mostly on the weekend that I did that,
Weekend DJ.
or I was in early morning, I would do, coming in the traffic, uh,
Yeah.
early morning coming in, I'd be like, "Right after this commercial," So I started off like, "We'll be right back," and I'm like, "Oh my god, that was so fun."
Okay, if you had to sum up your journey, your founder journey in one word, what would that word be?
Mm, what would my word be? Um, I'm gonna say I want to say intentional. For some reason, that's coming up for me,
Yeah.
but it's coming up for me in a crazy way because I wasn't intentional. Like I'm gonna do this and get there and get there. I just knew that was where what I should be doing. If that makes any kind of
It
sense.
does.
Yeah, I just felt like all of this was happening intentionally to get me to another place. But
Your journey has been intentional
yes, but
on a path that was might have already been mapped out for you.
yes.
Okay.
And even with the company being my company being the map agency,
Did
like
you like how I tied that in there?
yes, I did. Right. And that's the way that I help women that I work with. Let's map this out a little bit. Like let's map
Yeah.
it out a little bit. So like all of those I look at things like that and I'm like, all of those little things are coming together like that. And even with me doing this work with the Courage and Renewal, the Center for Courage and Renewal, it ties back to me being able to help these women and to continue to help myself. So like intentional but unintentional kind of sort of,
Yeah.
if that makes any kind of sense.
Unintentionally intentional.
Unintentional.
Ah,
Oh, that's a thing. I love
that's the
it.
thing. You need to write. You need to write
Yes,
your blog on that.
that's it.
That's it. Unintentionally intentional.
That's it.
There you go. So, what is the best piece of advice that you've received as a founder and entrepreneur and across your journey? What's the best piece of advice you've ever heard from somebody that has influenced your own decision making?
Oh, hard question. I wish I would have had these questions beforehand.
I know.
I
I
know.
like to do these on the fly, so it catches people.
I see. Okay, so the best piece of advice that I received as a founder, oh, so what's coming up for me again, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say be myself.
Ah,
Because I used to find myself in spaces where I felt like, oh, you have to act like this, you have to do this, you have to look like that. But
yeah.
I found the more that I can be myself,
Show up as yourself.
show up as myself.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice.
Hmm.
I think we forget about that.
Yep, show up as myself.
Yeah, mine is always the Tobyism that we learned was the get get comfortable with being uncomfortable because I feel like but that includes for me
Hmm.
showing up as like having more courage to be myself more.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And taking control.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, control, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um no, that's good. I like that. Show up as yourself. Be yourself.
Be myself, like, yeah, be yourself.
Yeah. Um, all
However
right.
however that should
However that is,
be.
but to have the courage and um, to do that.
Mhm.
So, okay, here's easy one for you. What um like what are you watching, reading, or listening to right now? Whatever like your, where are you where are you going to, whether it's fun, like are there TV shows that you're binging right now? Like what are you watching?
You know what? Right now in my life, I am reading a lot, I'm reading the Bible a lot. I've never, like, gone through the Bible,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm reading, and I'm like, "This
Okay.
is really a story." Like,
Yeah.
sometimes yeah, it's
People
like
forget it's a love story.
yes, sometimes
It's really
I laugh, sometimes I
yeah.
cry, and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, Jesus was a trip," "Jesus was rough," So it's like really a story, and I think I've never realized that this is really like a story where you might laugh, like, he may, say some things to someone and you're like, "Jesus said that?" You're like, "I can't believe that."
Yeah.
But that's what I'm reading
Okay.
lately.
And are you um are you but you're not are you a big TV watcher?
I'm not a big TV watcher, but so I'm on these different ends of the spectrum, right? So I'm reading the Bible and then I'll watch some trashy reality TV. So
Yeah. So
I
are you like a bachelor? Is that like the
I
or
like
the housewives?
the housewives. So I'll get and what I like to do is like I wait a couple of weeks so I can watch like 2 or 3
Bunch of them at the same time.
row, right? And I get all my little like trashiness kind of out of the way and like laughing at them being crazy and like I could never, how do they ever? But it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to
It's
have
your off time. You gotta have that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Are you do you listen to any other podcast? Are you a podcast junkie?
I am a podcast. Oh, I can tell you right now. Let me see what's on my
What's on your listen list?
right.
Besides Hello Chaos. I know it's the top of your
That's my top one. Hello Chaos is gonna be top for me. Um, Mel Robbins podcast. Sometimes I listen to that.
Ah,
We Can Do Hard Things. I think it's called.
yes.
I listen to that.
That's a good one. We've heard that from other founders that's like their favorite. Yeah.
And what Woman Evolve.
Ooh,
I listen to that.
I have not listened. I need to go look that one up. Is that a good one?
Those are all the ones I like it. So those are all the ones on my and Her Money is on here too. So
Oh,
get my money right. So
that's right.
people,
Well, I like how it's her money.
Her Money is women and money because women they have a different like outlook on money,
Yep.
and maybe we're more afraid to handle it, invest it, that kind of thing. So trying to get comfortable with my money,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Those are good ones.
like
I
that.
have some like you have your reality TV junkie TV. So I listen to two podcasts that are all like celebrity-ish.
Oh,
Like
what is that?
the Dak Shepard's armchair. Um
Okay, I know Dak Shepard.
his one, and then Michael Rosenbaum, The Inside of You, where he interviews
Oh,
a lot of different actors, but also producers and stuff. So, like from James Gunn to Zachary Levi to um, who did he have on recently? That was a really good one. That kind of and they talk about like the mental health and issues at like the high pressure
mhm,
of just the TV and film industry. And so, yeah, it's interesting to hear from their perspectives from front of the camera, but also the people behind, like the writers or the directors and the producers behind the camera. So it's fascinating. Yeah.
I was gonna say what draws you to those, like, the ones with, the celebrity kind of
Yeah. There,
kind of
so
thing?
Dak Shepard's is the armchair expert, and he asks them really like very personal questions. So you really get to know kind of the more personal aspect of actors or celebrities.
Mhm.
Michael Rosenbaum does more of the work, like they're personal, but it's more of like the career.
Okay.
What happened in the career? What happened in, ooh, you got fired from that show. How did that make you feel? Or your show got canceled, but then it got renewed. How did that, how did you handle that? And just talking through. So he does it more of like in depth, but from a more of a career professional
Mhm.
perspective. And then the other one that's a junky one is Smartless, which is just funny
Oh,
because it's Sean Hayes, Jason Bateman, and John Arnett,
okay, I
who were
love
the three co-hosts.
Mhm,
And it's like they might have guests on, but it's their banter
mhm,
of
mhm.
each other that I find that they're just, they're all three really dry sense of humor, and they kind of razz each other, so it's just fun. And then when they ask questions, they're razzing. Then it becomes just more of kind of a ridiculous, you know,
You
hour
do
long.
well, Jen. I'm very impressed on the way that you're doing this. Like, but not surprised. Like it totally fits in who
Oh,
you
you mean the podcast that I like to listen to?
No, you're hosting this one. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I'm pleasantly. I'm like, she does so well on this. It's so natural, but not surprised because it fits into your overall package and the things that you've done. I really like this for you.
yeah. Well, thank you.
I
You
do.
you and I were talking. I'm like, should I even do this? And you were like,
I like it for
do
you.
it.
Keep it up.
That's
I
right.
know, yeah, it may get hard sometimes, but I hope you keep this up
Well,
because
absolutely.
yeah, you're doing.
And our rune reading
Mhm.
when we were doing.
Right.
that was
Exactly.
saying I needed to keep on the path of creative
Yes.
exploration and this path. So it was
Yeah.
that was an interesting uh, test experiment
Mhm.
that the three of us that we that it all matched
I know.
our personalities, but also the goals and the paths that we were kind of talking about, and then it
Mhm.
completely read us
Weirdness.
exactly.
And I know.
That's it's scary how that kind of stuff goes, isn't it?
It
Kind
is.
of well, not scary, but freaky. And then I was telling somebody, of the sound baths that we've been kind of testing, helping a friend test to go, should she offer that?
Things like that.
And
Yeah. See
yeah,
those
those have been great. And
Mhm.
I'm sad I missed the last one. I hope she does put it in her offerings, but
Yeah.
um,
Looking
you
forward
know,
to the one this month.
yeah. And
Mhm.
I was telling another friend of like of our the experience that we had of the light of the lady was like, I saw angels above
Now
you, Nichelle. She was like, I saw angels above. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought it was the lamp that was on behind you in the corner. When you and I both woke up and we were like, that lamp's off. Are you sure? Because I was like, as my eyes were closed, that's all I could see was this like light coming
I
from
know.
your area. And
I know.
so somebody was like, "No way." And I'm like, "Yeah, no." It surprised like both of us, but
Yes. I'm like,
um,
somebody turn that light off.
somebody turned that light off. I was like, it's almost blinding me through my closed eyeball. And then when she was like, "Well, I saw angels over you, Nichelle." It was like a huge bright light. And we're like, "Oh my God, that's so crazy." The supernatural, Nichelle.
Yeah.
It's
But
coming.
that's another one of our communities, right? Where we get certain things out of that community.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
can, be open and honest with each other and so
Experience other
yeah.
things,
Mhm.
maybe that we can't explain, but
Encourage each
but
other.
yeah, no, but those have been good. Those have been
Mhm.
really like mental health and
Oh, yeah.
strengthening, physical
Yeah.
health. So yeah, no, those are wonderful. We'll see. Look at this, Michelle. We're already out of time. I always get amazed
Hey.
at how fast it goes.
Ah.
So I thank you for hanging out. So before we go, how do you want people to connect with you and engage with you?
Hmm. So I would say I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, all that, but I'm really not. Isn't that crazy? But no, I am on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to connect with me.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
So
where I
we'll tag you, your LinkedIn profile and stuff. But yeah,
say.
go find Nichelle, and it's Nichelle with an N. It's
Uh,
not Michelle. It's Nichelle Harrison.
the map agency has an Instagram that
Okay.
I'm trying to do better with. I'm trying to do better. I may need some help on that, but I'm trying to be more interactive on that.
Well, very good. Well, so for everybody listening or watching us live, if we had anybody live, thank you for joining us. Again, this podcast episode will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. So please subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share this great content. Help us grow a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. Again, that's Orange Whip, WIP for work in progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are 100% free, just an email to join the community, one-stop content hub just for founders. And we also send you a little weekly newsletter every Sunday to get you prepared for the week with all the local events that you need to be a part of or deadlines for grants or accelerator and incubator applications. But all that comes to your inbox every Sunday. We are currently in 3 areas in South Carolina, the upstate, Midlands, and Low Country, with goals to expand to be in 30 markets in 5 years. Check out the newest edition. We just dropped one for our January edition, just dropped this week. We did a whole recap on 2023, all great advice from founders and tips and tricks that we learned over 2023. Check it out. It's free. Find your city edition and enjoy. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send an email to hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It's where aha meets oh shit. I'm your host, Jennifer Sutton, JJ, and we will see you again next week.